Now I would like to tell a story for all ages. It's called The Keeper of the Rain. Not so very long ago, in a place not so very different than this one, lived the Keeper of the Rain. Each day, the Keeper of the Rain carefully watched the creatures and the plants, and when they drooped with thirst, she whispered the word that brings the rain, and they stood tall again. Each day, the Keeper of the Rain carefully listened to the rivers and the streams, and when they swelled to a roar, she whispered the word that sends the rain away, and they were quiet again. For many such days she did this, and the keeper grew weary. She was tired of always watching, always listening, always paying attention to other things and beings. A new keeper had been born, but he was still just a boy. It would be years before he was ready to take over. "I can't wait years," said the keeper. So she went out and looked for him. She heard splashing in the pond, and when she peered through the cattails, she saw the boy knee-deep in the water. He plunged his hands into the pond and stood up with an armful of muck and a wriggling crayfish. "He is young," thought the keeper, "but then again, so was I." So she walked through the cattails and into the water. She bent over and for a few minutes whispered into the boy's ear. She stood, smiled for the first time in ages, and then walked away. The boy stood there for a while and watched as the keeper walked away. But then the crayfish wriggled loose from his arms and plopped back into the pond. He bent over, searching for the creature, and soon forgot about the keeper and what the keeper had told him. He stayed there, playing and splashing in the pond until his lips turned blue and quivered. Then he tromped up through the sand and the grass to the sun-warmed rocks. The low, flat rock was his favorite, and it was as old and ancient as the rain itself. He lay basking in the sun, listening to the peeping frogs and telling the rock his stories. And the rock listened and laughed in that low, rumbling way of rocks. The next day, the boy again played and splashed in the water until his lips turned blue and quivered. He tromped up through the sand and the grass to the sunlit rocks. He lay basking in the sun, listening to the peeping frogs and telling the rock his stories. Then all of a sudden, the sky turned gray, the wind became cool, and a cold, wet raindrop fell upon his back. "I don't like the rain," said the boy, as more cold, wet raindrops fell upon his back. Then he remembered what the keeper had told him, and he whispered the word that sent the rain away. The raindrops stopped, the sun reappeared, and he laid back down on the rock. Each day after that, the boy played and splashed in the pond until his lips turned blue and quivered. Then he stomped up through the grass and the sand to the sun-warmed rocks, where he lay basking in the sun, listening to the peeping frogs and telling the rock his stories. And whenever the rain came, he simply whispered it away. Many such days passed, and as the boy lay basking in the sun, the rock asked him, "Have you noticed that all the trees and plants are turning yellow?" The boy sat up. "I like the color yellow," he said. "They need rain," said the rock. "Well, I don't like the rain," said the boy. "I know," said the rock. Many more such days passed, and as the boy lay basking in the sun, the rock asked him, "Have you noticed that all the trees and plants are turning brown?" The boy sat up and looked. "Well, I like the color brown," he said. "They need rain," said the rock. "Well, I don't like the rain," said the boy. "I know," said the rock. Many more such days passed, and as the boy lay basking in the sun, the rock asked him, "Have you noticed that it takes you longer to walk to your pond?" The boy sat up and looked. "Who moved my pond?" he said. No one did, said the rock. It is shrinking. It needs rain. The boy sat there for a while and listened. It's too quiet, he said. Where are all the peeping frogs? The frogs need rain to survive, said the rock. Everything does. Then a huge weight fell upon the boy's chest, and he had no words to whisper that away. He felt the warm sun upon his back, and it felt so good, but he also felt this weight in his chest, which felt awful. Finally, he whispered the word that brings the rain, and the cold, wet raindrops fell upon his back, but he let it rain, and rain, and rain. He let it rain so much that the streams and the rivers filled to a roar, and only then did he whisper the words that send the rain away. I still don't like the rain, said the boy, but I love my pond. I know, said the rock. I know. The end.